So today's guest is Dr. Susan Albright, who has been practicing veterinarian medicine at the Shenova Veterinary Clinic in Illinois since 1988. Now, she has fused traditional and holistic modalities that include chiropractic, acupuncture, Chinese herbs, nutrition, essential oils, and other forms of energy medicine to offer animal patients and their owners a comprehensive approach to health and wellness. So let's welcome Dr. Susan Albright. Are you there? Can you hear us?
I am. Thank you for having me here.
Wonderful. Welcome to the show. I have a quick question about the weather in Illinois. What's that like today?
Hot and humid.
Oh, welcome to our world. We appreciate that. I love it. All right. So can you tell us how long you've been using essential oils in your practice?
In my practice, I was introduced to them in late 2001, and then the beginning of 2002, I really started to realize how well they work for me, and it was just a natural evolution to bring it into the practice and start using it alongside all the other modalities that we use here.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Mark, you have a couple of questions?
Yeah, sure do. So as far as a lot of folks have questions with respect to, their pets in their house, cats, dogs, birds, things like that. So we were talking the other night about what's important with respect to using any kind of essential oil with your pets. And there was something that definitely stood out. So you can tell us a little bit about quality and how important that is with respect to using essential oils, not only on pets also, but for folks and babies and so forth, but with respect to pets. What should we be looking for?
We definitely want to understand the quality of the essential oil that is being used. Essential oils have become so popular. When I started using them 17 years ago, it was kind of the voodoo witch thing. And there are still oils out there all the time, but they are so adulterated out there that we really have to be aware of the quality, because especially in the veterinary world, and then of course social media gets a hold of it, you get all this information out there that says, oh, essential oils are toxic, but you never get the whole story about what was the quality of oil used. Because in practice, if we're using good quality essential oils, which we are, and then somebody thinks, oh, I can just use the same thing out of the farm store or the drugstore or the health food store, we get into a lot of problems. So quality, quantity, and how you are applying it, which includes frequency, makes a huge difference.
All right, and you use Young Living essential oils, is that correct?
Yes, exclusively.
Okay, and could you just real quick tell us why that is, why you chose them?
They've been around the longest. They have a lot of background data from their testing, and they actually provide the basics, if you will, that a lot of other companies try to emulate. Their testing, they have a huge database of all their oils where they've been tested in-house and third-party. I've been to the farms, I've been to the labs, and when you understand that and you can see the quality, the purity, and basically the transparency of the company, that says a lot for me. In the veterinary world, we a lot of times have to work with distributors and different companies that say we have the best, but sometimes it has to be proven, and Young Living has done that for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I've been to some of the farms as well. Yep. So it's really cool. The transparency there is super important so that folks can see where this stuff comes from. So what kind of animals are you using essential oils with in your practice?
Oh, all kinds. Dogs and cats and horses, of course. We have a parrot here that lives here. He's been here for over 15 years. He's about 30 years old now. And I use him on our farm animals, hogs, cattle, and alpacas. And so it's just across the board.
Well, that's amazing. I bet that's fun too. And I bet your veterinary office and facility just smells awesome with diffusing. So you diffuse, right, in your office?
Yes, we usually have about 6 diffusers going every day, and that's one of the best compliments we receive is when people come into the office and go, boy, this doesn't smell like a regular vet's office.
Right. What kind of oils are you diffusing out there?
Right now, today, we are diffusing the blend Valor and Divana, which is one of the new oils that Young Living just came out with. I usually let my staff pick something for the day. Sometimes I have to pull them back when they're using some of the more expensive ones. But we use citrus oils, we use many of the different blends, a lot of lavender, a lot of purification, a lot of thieves. I like to have thieves and purification, a combination of that going in my surgery suite when I'm doing surgery, and that just kind of helps with the whole environment overall.
Sure. Wow, I bet some hospitals could
Yeah.
probably benefit from doing the same thing. So, with respect to like everyday animals, want to hit the most, mainstream as far as what our listeners can benefit from. Let's start with dogs. And can you give us a couple tips with using essential oils with dogs that everyday folks could use?
A great place to use the essential oils with dogs and in a pet household is diffusing and for cleaning. In today's world, we are just so inundated with chemicals that using the essential oils is a great way to get rid of the chemical toxicity that our pets tend to be exposed to and build up. And so we use the essential oil plant-based cleaner so that we know that when Fluffy walks down the hall and it might still be wet, we're not going to be worried about that being on their pads. And then when they lick their pads or they lay on the floor and then they lick themselves, especially with cats, we have 5 clinic cats, I'm not worried about that. So using good quality essential oils and the cleaning products, you can take away a lot of exposure that over time can cause health problems. So for cleaning and diffusing purposes, life smells, if you will. And so, sometimes it smells like a wet dog or maybe the litter box. And using diffusing can help create a much better, cleaner smelling environment. And also from an emotional standpoint, we've got a lot of good oils that can help create a more calm, serene atmosphere, which benefits both ends of the leash, if you will.
Sure, sure. And I've heard of that too with like 4th of July, New Year's, and then even during storms, folks diffusing oils that really help the animal calm down. Are you familiar with that?
Absolutely. And so if I can mention some oils, things like lavender, stress away, peace and calming. And the thing that people should understand is that it's good to use these oils all the time. Don't just pull them out on the holidays or when, oh my gosh, we have a situation. Because if the animal starts to associate the oils with just general good times, then it's going to be a lot more effective when you need it at some of those more stressful opportunities. Sometimes there can be what's called an association, and if you bring out an oil in a not so happy or friendly situation, the pet may start to equate that with that scary time and may not really appreciate the oil. You may not get the benefit. So if you have a pet that has seasonal issues around certain holidays, that's where using the oils daily or especially for a while before that situation occurs can actually benefit them more.
That is wonderful because my dogs.
Can you? She can't hear you. There you
Can
go.
you hear me now?
Yeah, there you
All
go.
right.
I can hear you now, yep.
That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that info. My dogs actually get a little anxious when the thunderstorms come in. They can hear it and feel it, I guess, an hour or so before I even know it's going to hit. And that's when I usually start diffusing and spraying their bedding down with peace and calming, stress away, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So what you just told me makes complete sense to me. So I'm going to start just spraying their bed every night so they can smell and know that that's their relaxing time.
Yeah, that was
Yep.
awesome advice, Dr. Albright. I hadn't heard that before, but
Me
that
neither.
really makes sense. So, with respect to dogs, some people may want to apply the oils directly to the dogs. We don't necessarily need to get into the reasons why, but is there a specific method maybe that they should look at or areas to avoid?
Areas to avoid, you want to make sure we're being careful around the face, around the eyes. Don't recommend oils in the ears at all. Around the outside of the ear is fine. I often get asked, should I dilute them? And my answer there is you can never go wrong diluting the oils. And again, your carrier oil is very important too. You need to use just as high a quality of carrier oil as what essential oil you're using. Me personally, I rarely dilute my oils. Again, these oils are very, very potent, and so literally 1 or 2 drops in my hands, rub my hands together, and then I pet, wipe, stroke over the animal's body, again, avoiding the eyes, watch out for the ears, watch out for those other sensitive mucous membrane areas down under, and then again, you don't have to worry about getting the oil onto the skin because the hair will actually wick that oil down onto the area where it needs to be. Oils are lipophilic, and so the hair shaft has lipophilic is fat. The hair shaft has a fat cuticle layer, and it'll wick down just like it should. Just if you think of a reed diffuser, it's going to work the same way. So I like what I call the pet wipe stroke over the body method. If you make a dilution, a spritz, again, just cover the eyes, watch out for the ears, watch out for the mouth, and you should be good to go.
So that oil will find its way down to the skin no matter whether you're misting or whether you're petting the animal, correct?
Correct.
Oh, that's awesome. Another great tip. Now, that
Yes.
I'm guessing that we were talking about dogs, but that would also be the same for cats as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Now, you mentioned, well, maybe I mentioned, but I brought up birds. So using
hmm
essential oils with birds, this is an area that I have heard so much pushback from people saying that, that's a real hazard for using essential oils with birds. Now, I know I've done some of my own research. I know that that's not necessarily true, and I know it goes back to quality. But for people that are using essential oils with birds, could you give us a couple of tips on that?
When you're using essential oils around birds, this is where dilution is very important, and one of my favorite ways to use the essential oils around birds is in a water-based diffuser. So you're using, maybe 3 to 5, maybe more drops in an essential oil diffuser that holds 100 to 200 mLs of water. And so when this is diffusing, actually the parts per million is very, very, very low. And people sometimes get pretty excited about certain oils because they've read things online or social media, something like that. But if you're using them at a very low quality, and I like the water-based diffuser on intermittent, and you make sure you have good ventilation in the area, because our birds are in cages, so they aren't necessarily going to be able to get away from it. You would not want to use a very strong oils that have high phenol content or high aldehyde content, maybe things like oregano or some of these what we call hotter oils, and have the bird in a small enclosed space. That would not be appropriate. That would not be appropriate at all. And so a water-based diffuser, a very dilute mist, like for a feather spray. Our bird George loves his feather spray. And so we'll put him in the tub periodically, put the little spray nozzle on him, and then when we're done, we'll spritz him, and then he just preens himself, and just his feathers look wonderful. Really good if they're molting.
Excellent. Is there any oils that you would absolutely not use with birds? I know you mentioned, some of the hotter oils, but even those you can use, but just plenty of room. But is there like a do not use this oil under any circumstances kind of thing with birds?
That's always a kind of a loaded question because you have to know the quality of the oil and why you're wanting to use the oil. And the thing is, especially when we're talking with young living oils, actually my preference is I don't work from a do not use list approach. I actually, you want to know why you're using it and understanding the dilution, the frequency, that type of thing. Because if people say, well, what oil shouldn't I use? My knee-jerk reaction is really bad, crappy oils. Don't use those anywhere.
Right?
That's
That
a
makes sense.
good rule of thumb there.
Right. So I mean, you're gonna hear things like, and not only with birds, like, oh, you can't use tea tree, oh, you can't use wintergreen, things like that. But again, you have to understand the quality, why you're going to be using them, and how to use them appropriately. Hopefully that answers your question, because I never like to say never use this, never use that, because there's always exceptions to the rule.
Right, right. That's good. That's real good. Okay, so with respect to cats, and we talked a little bit about dogs, I want to talk a little bit about cats. So, do the same rules apply with cats, or that we talked about with dogs, or is there something else maybe we should consider?
Cats are known to have different metabolism pathways in their liver for many, many things. And the liver is the primary organ where things are going to be metabolized to be excreted, got rid of, removed from the body. And this is a reason why certain medications we can give dogs, we can't give cats. And essential oils a lot of times will fall into this realm as well. And so again, this gets to be where there's kind of this knee-jerk reaction, because we know cats don't metabolize certain drugs appropriately. They have, there's historically been evidence that they can't metabolize phenols, they don't metabolize aldehydes, things like that, which are some of the chemical constituents of the essential oils. But the but is, again, knowing the quality and how to use them appropriately. There's actually been a study in 2017 that compared the metabolism of some of these phenol pathways between humans, dogs, and cats, and there's evidence starting to come to light that cats actually can metabolize, but they use a different pathway. And it was interesting when I found this study and read through it, because it verifies, if you will, what I've seen in practice, what we see every day with all the oils that we use in our practice on our pets. And so again, you do need to be cognizant of what oils you're using. Am I going to tell you that tea tree is safe for cats? Not all tea tree, again, based on the quality of that. But if you look at some of the blends that we use routinely, they have tea tree in it. But it's about the dilution, how much is in there, how you're using it, and it's the synergy of some of these oils together in some of these blends that gives me the confidence to be able to use it with our cats.
Oh, excellent answer. That's a full answer. So, with respect to CBD in animals, are you doing anything with that yet, or do you know any information about using CBD with any kind of animals? Is that something that you've kind of ventured into?
Yes, I've been using some CBD products for well over 6-7 years, and the thing with your CBD products out there is the same as with the essential oils. You've got to know the quality. You've got to know where it comes from. You want to know why you're using it, because some of the CBD products out there, they're all over the board with their THC content, and the way that the CBD works in the body, it affects those endocannabinoid receptors, and everybody responds differently. It depends on, kind of what other baggage, if you will, that you're carrying that makes the CBD products work differently in every animal, or in every person actually too. But I found that the CBD products work great with good quality essential oils. So it's kind of the same mantra that I use with the essential oils that I use with the CBD is start slow and low and observe. Everybody always wants to know about a dose. Well, again, when you're dealing with some of these natural products, it's not necessarily milligrams per pound or 2 to 3 times a day like we think of when we're actually using prescription medication in regular Western medication. We have to let the body adjust to what we're doing, and everybody's different. You've got to pay attention, start slow, low, and observe.
Absolutely. And so with respect to, we're not going to talk product, but we'll talk about the ingredient cannabidiol, the CBD. What in your, research is it being used on, or even your practical experience if you want to share, but what is it being used for with respect to pets?
A wide range of things. People have used it on pets for seizure activity, for calming activity. If we have an anxious pet, in older animals where we have some mobility issues, that can be very helpful in conjunction with a lot of other treatments, a lot of other modalities. So those are probably the big ones. I've seen CBD products help increase an older animal's appetite. And so again, it's you have to look at the whole picture and understand why you want to use it and where to start, and see how the pet responds.
Excellent. And just, I know we're coming up on time, and I want to get your contact information out there for folks, but have you seen anything with THC interacting negatively with animals in a CBD product?
In my experience, no, because I've been very judicious about what products that I want to use. But through the emergency clinics, that type of thing, when especially with the use of recreational products, And these do tend to be very palatable to our animals, and so we have to really be careful with that. And so overdoses happen. They can become very lethargic, kind of strung out, if you will, unable to walk. And so if there's any kind of question with that, you really need to get your pet to an emergency clinic and be working with them to help maintain them, support them while they get it out of the system. And hopefully there's nothing terribly adulterated with the product, like heavy metals, other things like that can actually
Right,
be
that
toxic
could be
and
bad.
life-threatening.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, as we wrap up, so if folks want to get in contact with you, what's a great way for them to do that?
I have a pretty good presence on Facebook, and so some of my Facebook pages are Essential Oils with Shanoa Vet. There's also the page Vets, Pets, and Young Living Essential Oils. My clinic Facebook page is Shanoa Veterinary Clinic, and I also have a group page, Essential Oils in a Pet Home. And then just one other little thing here, there's going to be in-depth training website that a friend of mine who's a clinical aromatherapist, Kate Brown, we're putting together an Animal Sense University training site that we hope to have up here in about 60 days. So
Awesome.
You'll hear more information on that.
All right, Dr. Susan Albright, thank you very much. We are at our time limit, so make sure you guys check her out on the web. And Doctor, we appreciate your time. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks for listening to the show. And as a quick reminder, you can catch all the latest CBD news, tips, and insight at eotalkradio.com. And we will catch you guys next time.